Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Shannon, your assistant principal. I'm here to read chapters 16 through 19 of How to Eat Fried Worms. I hope that you've been enjoying the book so far and you've been reading with your families, with your friends, with your classmates, and that you've been having some good conversations about the book. I know in my chapters there's a lot of good vocabulary words, kind of maybe some words that you might not quite be sure about what they are. Be sure and ask your parents or your teachers, what these words mean. So I hope that you enjoy these chapters today and continue to answer those trivia questions and earn those rewards. Chapter 16, The Sixth Worm. Billy gulped it triumphantly, serene, untroubled. By the door, Alan glowered, his mind racing. He's going to do it. He'll win. What'll I do? $50? Joe sat on an overturned pail, whistling, gazing carelessly about, sneaking a glance now and then at Billy. What had gone wrong? Why hadn't he cracked? Outside, Tom lurked sheepishly in the bushes behind the stone wall, peering at the barn. Chapter 17, The Seventh Worm. Billy ate it offhand, sideways, reading a comic book. Alan and Joe squatted glumly in the barn door watching him. As Billy was daubing horseradish sauce on the last bite, Tom's head appeared in the corner of the grimy window. He waved tentatively at Billy. Ignoring him, Billy gulped down the last bite, wiped his mouth, and tucked his comic book under his arm, strolled airily out of the barn, remarking over his shoulder, "See you tomorrow, fellas." Chapter 18, The Eighth Worm. "Where's Joe?" asked Billy, spreading mustard down the length of the fried worm. "He wouldn't come," said Alan sullenly. "It's no fair putting on that much mustard." "Ha ha," said Billy. "Who says? I can put on as much as I like of whatever I like, and you know it. Why wouldn't he come?" "How should I know?" Billy swooshed a bit of worm around in ketchup and horseradish sauce. "I know why he didn't." "Yeah, you're so smart. Big deal." Alan couldn't get the $50 out of his head. What was his father going to say when he told him he bet $50 and lost? Jeez. He gnawed at his thumbnail. "He wouldn't come because he knows I've won. He knows I could eat 20 worms if I had to." Yeah. Well, you ain't won yet. There's still 7 to go. You act so big. Wait till you begin to feel it in your stomach. You think you know everything. Yeah, you'll see. You wait. "Ha," said Billy. "You think you can scare me talking like that? Phooey." He strolled past Alan out into the sunlight. "Hi," said Tom, popping up from behind a barrel. said Billy disdainfully, and walked on. Chapter 19, The Ninth Worm. "That's not a worm," yelled Billy. "How can it be a worm? Geez, it must be 2 feet long." "It's a worm," said Alan stubbornly. "It's just like all the others. I rolled it in cornmeal and fried it." "It's over 2 feet long," screeched Billy. He knew something was up. Otherwise, Joe wouldn't have come back, slouching in the doorway, pretending to be gazing up at the clouds. But Billy noticed he kept glancing at Alan and him, and Tom was peering in the window again. Something was up. "Look," said Alan, "I'll cut it. You can see for yourself it's a worm. There, see? Come on, eat up. We ain't got all day. Joe and me have to go to Sushan with his father." Billy poked at the huge worm with his fork. Something sure was up. He ate the piece Alan had cut, looking the rest of the worm over carefully as he chewed. He ate another bite. He'd forgotten to dip it in the horseradish sauce. Come on," said Alan. "Yeah," said Joe. "Eat up, Billy. We got to go." "I'll never be able to eat the whole thing," thought Billy. "It'd choke me. It's too much yuck at once." "Half," he croaked. "I'll eat half. This is some sort of a ringer. There's never been a worm this long." "Okay," said Alan. "Then the bet's off. Suit yourself. Come on, Joe. He chickened out. Let's go." All right, said Billy, playing for time. The whole thing. You'll make yourself sick, said Alan. He's too anxious, thought Billy. What's going on? Leave him alone, said Joe. Let him eat it. It's his stomach. He's trying to cover for Alan, thought Billy. He ate another bite, then he began to scrape the cornmeal carefully off the worm with his knife. What are you doing? Said Alan. I think I'll have it plain today. No cornmeal. That's not fair. You can't. Glue? Screamed Billy all of a sudden. Glue? You glued 2 crawlers together? Geez, you bunch of lousy cheats. Tom, look what they tried to pull. Glue. Panting, Tom bent over the plate. You're right. Geez. Alan kicked a pail clattering against the wall. I told you it wouldn't work, he screamed at Joe. All right, so it didn't work. You couldn't think of anything better? That's cheating, said Billy. I ought to win right now. You cheated. 15 worms in 15 days, yelled Joe. You ain't won yet. And there's the picture. But you cheated, shouted Tom. So what? They argued and yelled, striding here and there about the barn, sprawling against posts, flinging up their arms, kicking walls, banging down on a pail or orange crate, and squeezing their heads between their hands. It doesn't make any difference, Joe yelled at Billy. It didn't work. You didn't fall for it. If you'd eaten the whole thing and then found out it was 2 worms glued together, then you could have a claim to win, because Alan was cheating. Big mouth, shouted Alan from the horse stall where he was kicking the slats in. Who thought it up? Not me. Who cares who thought it up? Shouted Tom. It's still cheating. A pig looked in at the door and then wandered away. Joe ran out and stuck his head under the faucet by the kitchen steps. A minute later he came running back, dripping, yelling, That's not true. What's not true? Said Billy, turning around from shouting at Alan. Whatever you said. What did I say? It doesn't make any difference. You're a liar and a cheat, and so anything you say isn't true. You're crazy. Even Hitler or Jack the Ripper sometimes said things that were true. It's impossible to lie all the time. Behind them, Tom lay down on his back and said, Ugh. Alan and Joe and Billy turned to look at him. What's the matter with you? Silence. A bird flew in and then out through a broken window in the loft. Well, said Billy. Yeah, I see what you mean. He and Alan and Joe sat down on the overturned orange crates. After a while, Joe said, Anyway, I was right. If Billy had eaten it, it would have been cheating. But he didn't, so it's not. The bet's still on. The pig looked in at the door again. A pig's loose, said Alan. Look. Where? Said Billy. Oh, boy, come on, we got to catch it. He jumped up and the pig bolted. Whee! Yelled Billy, dashing out. Tom and Joe and Alan scrambled after him. That's the end of chapter 19. I hope you enjoyed our reading today and keep up the good work. Bye, guys.